Welcome to the show, Keith Pierce, CMO of Gainsight. And we are for a real treat again from data to deals, how AI builds your expansion pipeline. How have you been, Keith?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Our pleasure. What's the latest and greatest with Gainsight?
It's interesting times. We are kind of the known customer success company. We could argue that we created the category. Our competitors probably wouldn't love to hear that, but 12-year-old SaaS company, a de facto brand for customer success. But we see customer success now under the CRO. So we have a whole new buyer we have to educate about customer success and why it's important. And we've added some cool new AI capabilities like so many tech companies. And so we're obviously super stoked about that. So that's a little bit about what's new in our world these days.
Can't wait to dive into it. Keith, we've
Yeah.
got 30 minutes. Let's just kick off your session and then open it up to community questions and conversation a bit.
That sounds good. I've got some slides to share. I hope that's okay.
Awesome.
All right, cool. I'll load them up and we'll get going. Hopefully everyone can see that okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Julie, for having me. Keith Pierce, CMO of Gainsight. Really excited to talk to you today about how you turn data into deals and how you use AI to build your expansion pipeline. If you're like me, you're under tremendous pressure to build pipeline. And so many marketers put so much of their budgets around what we've been trained and rewarded to do, which is go find the net new customer, go find the new logo. Our CEOs love to read in transcripts on earning calls that we have X% of the Fortune 500, or we have the top 8, 10 banks, and you've all heard the verbatims. But our belief and my belief, especially in the times, is the pipeline is waiting within your customer base. And so that's what we want to talk about, how we can help you do that today. So, just to give you a sense of why this is so important and to underscore it, this is where your account teams are. This is where your sales teams are. This is where your C levels have executive sponsorships. It's where your renewal teams are. And so 60 to 70% of your revenue is coming from existing customers. And it's kind of like, it hasn't been the cool thing in marketing you do install base or expansion marketing, but I think this is what the times call for. To state the obvious, customers that acquire more products from you, when you do that renewal, are much more likely to be sticking around as they grow. And then obviously you have the lifetime value of multi-year customers versus kind of the one and dones. So let's just be real. Have we tapped into our customers as a revenue source? And I think if we looked internally, especially with pipe to spend ratio metrics and CAC, measures on top of us, these are great performers when it comes to those kind of financial metrics. And it really starts with visibility into the right customer data. The worst emails I've ever gotten, and I know our audience can relate to these, are the emails from customers on a campaign that say, thank you so much for drumming up why you guys are awesome. I've been a customer for 10 years, right? Like, go fix your database. You're smiling, Joyce. I know you've gotten those too. And the reason that happens is, it's the human error, but it's part of that ethos of go win the new instead of thinking about the existing. And look, to state the obvious, we are buying a lot of technology today as CMOs and as marketing teams that leverage AI to determine intent. We're all looking for the signal. And so we're ingesting a lot of data into our systems that can tell us who's in market, who the right persona is, what they've done. The reality is, when you think about selling to existing customers, all that data is within your four walls. I mean, you have the data. It's in the form of support tickets. It's in the form of emails between reps and customers. It's in recorded meetings and calls that you have transcripts of. It's in chat and Slack interactions. And what are those things? Well, there are things where a customer is saying something about a competitor. There's things where a customer is talking about an expansion opportunity or an upsell. And there is a treasure trove of information around advocacy and signal for advocacy. I love this. Thanks for the fix. And so I'm going to show you kind of how we can identify those signals. This is really the genesis of a capability we have called Staircase. Staircase is an AI natural language processing capability with sentiment analysis that looks at any recorded interaction you've had in your company and mines it for signal for upsell, cross-sell, expansion, retention, customer health, a number of things. I'll show you a couple of examples. Here is one of the most clear ones where we see great ROI. This is Staircase looking into an executive business review transcript call from a company called Abbott. And our advocate there, our customer there, David Harrison, is talking. He's signaling he has an issue with workflows. He needs to find products that will help him address that fit their current tech stack. And so we're raising this signal to Sarah, the account owner, to say, hey, this is an opportunity for you to talk to David. So that's a clear, upsell opportunity or cross-sell opportunity. Here is an account, Email Monkey, where Ray is just shouting at our praises for fixing an issue for him. And he's saying, as you see in the text there, if you need anyone to sing your praises, he's not talking about singing a song. He's not talking about karaoke. He's talking about, I will do a reference case for you. I will be, an advocate. Just tell me. And so we've all experimented with the come to the booth and get the gift card for advocating for us, or go write the review and here's the swag for that. You don't have to do that. This is just something that can be automated. And it's not just that we're signaling this to Susan, the account owner, but that we can create auto responses to this so that Ray would get an email from us that said, thank you so much for being willing to be an advocate. Can you fill out this form or do whatever you need to do to get Ray down that? As you know, a lot of times that requires a legal document, and we can just kick that off through this kind of automated trigger. The other one that's interesting is here's an example where Staircase is looking at the Purple Pickle account and an email sent by Megan Clark. And Megan is basically saying, hey, team, I want to let you know John's leaving. John's going to be missed. Go to Mike. And when we see this, oftentimes we find out because John posts something on LinkedIn, started a new job, and then we swarm him with, what can I sell you? It was awesome when you were at Purple Pickle. This is giving Mike Smith, the account owner on that, an automated email from the signal to say, hey, John, it's been great working with you. Thank you so much for your support of us. Can't wait to see where you land. So all Mike has to do is hit send on a cadence that is pre-written for him. And then we push that out to John before he leaves the door. So those are three examples of a selling opportunity, an expansion opportunity, an advocacy opportunity. And then, this is kind of what we've had user gems for when a power user or when an advocate leaves the company, what we're flagging as an opportunity for ourselves. Oftentimes, when someone leaves an account, what we look for is who has the relationship now. And so I wanted to show you a capability we have that is looking at the radar of relationship maps we have in this account to really clearly state that now that John has left, here are the other champions, but Liam is clearly the person in the radar in the heat map who should do the outreach because he is green across the board. And you see kind of how we're flagging that to Liam. So that's a little bit about how AI can help us identify advocates, fuel referrals, help with expansion and adoption even. The other thing it can do is it can give us a really cool glimpse into our health score. We'd argue that NPS is a lagging indicator. If you get a negative sentiment, it's too late. So when you're looking for that killer reference or you're looking for that referral, this is an easy way to go and look to say these 7 accounts would be the candidates that we would go to if we needed an advocacy for that sales deal that you're working on. So that was a little about Staircase, cool AI capabilities, helps you find that needle in the haystack, auto creates a bunch of customer communications without you having to do anything other than verify and send. Community, I want to talk a little bit about it on the second part. Community is kind of getting a renaissance. It's kind of getting its day. And, I've been around and worked around community for several years, including at Salesforce. And, then it was, how do you get customers to self-serve? like, let's deflect cost by putting people in community and helping them serve each other, which is an awesome use case for community. But increasingly, especially as we look at how we can do more for our customers, it is a great opportunity to mine for advocates, but also to identify signal for growth opportunities. And I'll take you through a couple. We have a capability called Journey Orchestrator, JO. And when we're trying to create more traction for it, we go into our own community and we ask, hey, how are you using Journey Orchestrator? And here's what we got back from Kelly Smith. She is like loving it. This is killing it for me. It's saving me 80 hours, 100% worth it. So you can imagine as a marketer what you can do with that from an advocacy perspective. But now you can go build a lookalike audience for Kelly Smith to go and target this capability, right? And you can do that right within community. So that is a cool like upsell capability you can use for community to do. The other thing you can do is with AI, some cool capabilities around sort of gamifying leaderboards. So if your customer just launched a new, or your company launched a new product, or your company made an acquisition, maybe you want to gamify a leaderboard around response to that from community. Hey, what did y'all think? And you're seeing an example here of Cam and Victoria and Daryl getting kind of the most awesome of the week because we liked what they were saying, and we can use that as a form of endorsement of what we just did. Invite only groups, great opportunity on community to go. We're launching a new product. We have the deck. We're about to give it to the sellers. Hey, what do you think? You would be the consumer of this. And you can do an invite only group and get that kind of sort of real time focus group testing from community on that. I think it's a missed opportunity for marketers. And then finally, what AI is doing in community for us is it's giving us those peer connections. Who's your doppelganger lookalike in community that you should be following because you guys are having the same conversations, and then you can nurture all kinds of greatness through them. And then finally, one of the best things I wanted to share an endorsement from Ali Z, one of our own customers in the Gainsight community. When we're trying to figure out how we can make community better for our customers, I just pull this out because this is an awesome verbatim of Ali Z saying, this feels like home to me. And for companies that have people who don't have the resources they used to have, don't have the tools or the budgets they used to have, if they have community, they have a wide net of support for them. And Ali Z is basically saying that I'm with my peeps here, and I don't feel like a one-person show, and I can go to the Gainsight community to get what I need, and I really appreciate it. Your CFO will go, that's really nice. Show me the money as your CEO. And so this is kind of the money slide we show is the reason we have community is that customers are engaged are 3% higher GRR. So think of a lifetime of that than those that don't. And by the way, they expand at over 2x the rate than those that aren't engaged on community. So that's just validation that investment in a good community, an investment in a community manager, which comes part and parcel with a community, and just the nurturing of advocacy and content and engagement through community just pays this kind of dividend. Much higher, 3% higher GRR, over 2x, higher rate of expansion. So that's a little bit about what we're up to and what we're stoked about. AI and Staircase and community. We all have the right data. We lack the signal. Staircase is something that you can implement in 6 to 8 hours, do it in a day, you can have it up and running. And it's mining a bunch of different systems in your company and pulling out the signal. It's giving you the triggers that you need to be able to get in front of expansion and do expansion the right way, not send the wrong emails to people who say, thanks for the email, I've been a customer for 10 years. And then we talked about how you can amplify all this stuff via community and leverage AI in there. And for anyone that's interested, go check it out. You can hit the URL, you can surf around, and obviously we're available to answer any questions anyone might have. So, Julia, that's a lot of me talking. So I'll end there.
That's really great, Keith. We've received a lot of questions from our community, and on a personal note, really believe in the mission and love the angle. You attack the problem, the sales problem. We are used to seeing a lot of sales methodologies here, lots of sales tech, and this is really interesting. One of the questions to this point is how do you enable a CRO to take on CSM?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think for a CRO that's interested in reducing churn and has that, on their radar, they care about hitting plan and their bookings plan. But they also need to keep their eye on that churn issue. And so for us, it's thinking about sales and revenue intelligence and having that conversation in vis-a-vis customer success, because that's the language they speak and that's what they live in. The never miss a forecast is where they want to. So it's really um, part of the effective messaging we've had with CROs is to avoid the surprises. And that surprise being, we lost this deal, we lost this customer because we didn't know that they were a churn risk. And some of what I just showed you are ways that CROs just light up when they see us talk about that capability.
Oh, oh, another question here. How do we measure the ROI of AI-powered community growth beyond vanity engagement metrics?
Yeah, I think there's a couple ways. I think when you consider how much your budget is around customer acquisition cost and what you're spending around that, I think if you can start to use the right content engagement and a thoughtful approach, obviously you don't want to be too commercial in community because I think community customers are looking for value. They're not just looking to be sold to. So you have to walk that line very carefully between, I think you could leverage this up, like I showed with the Journey Orchestrator program, versus this is now discounted at X or Y, and being careful not to bridge that overly commercial kind of line. But that's one way to sort of look at this is the lowest customer engagement cost we have. And then if you're like me, I have a pipe to spend rate I've got to hit. And if I'm not generating $12 a pipeline for every dollar I spend, or less ideally, or more ideally, then I'm not spending the money in the right places. So those were two ways, pipe to spend rate, and we get in the 20s and 30s of pipe to spend rate from pipeline we build in community. So
Aligned.
yeah,
Another question here. What's the biggest mistake companies make when trying to drive expansion revenue?
I think it's presenting the wrong offer at the wrong time to the customer. I use the email example, but so much of our expansion comes without the telemetry or the product knowledge we have to even know if that's the next logical thing. So, having the product data and the consumption data is so important to knowing what's the next thing, and what those use cases are. So it's really dialing those in and being really deliberate, which is partly why instead of that blasting in that to a population of 2,000 accounts, it's using community where you kind of have a safe harbor, if you will, to sort of say, as I showed in that example, to 10 accounts, what do you think of this capability? Because we think, we not have it right, we think you have all the characteristics of this next journey orchestrated capability that I showed. So small hits and small numbers.
Please, people want to know how is Gainsight differentiating itself in the AI space race?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great capability. I think it's a great question, and the capability is just take it for a test drive. I think that's the best form of differentiation. And talk to some of the folks that use Staircase, which are not just customer success professionals. To be really clear, this is an executive tool. This is a tool for anyone that needs visibility into what their customers are doing. No CEO, no CRO, no CO, no one wants to go to a board meeting and not know what's happening with a customer. That's one of the most anxious filled moments. And so Staircase is a great example of how you can, through a Slack integration, just pull, here are my top 10 at-risk accounts to churn. And I've got that information right at my fingertips to be able to know. And that's just at a visibility level for an executive, but then at an actionability, it's, okay, what are we doing about that with that kind of visibility?
Curious to learn more how Gainsight uses Gainsight. and staircase. What are your favorite
Yeah.
use cases?
Yeah, I mean, well, as you can imagine, we are a 12-year-old company that created this whole area of customer support, customer success, and so we're looking at how many products our customers are using. We're making sure our CSMs are, executing the success plans we have with our customers to keep them happy, to keep them retained. We're using Staircase, as kind of an executive dashboard that we can look into to find, you know, all kinds of signals that are happening within our customer base. And we are a Vista-owned company. Just sort of fun fact: the Vista portfolio companies are so excited about Staircase. Most of them don't. Some of them have CSM teams. They're SaaS companies. A lot of them don't, and they're still seeing great applications for Staircases, that kind of dashboard and that visibility into a very lightweight customer success tool, if you will. You're not going to get success plans and workflows in this, but you are going to get that visibility layer. So, we're using it in obviously the core customer success software we make with all of our customers. And we're using Staircase to kind of complement that and to extend where we can reach into CROs and others C-levels.
Another question here. How much of
Yeah.
CSM will be fully automated?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's kind of anyone's guess, but what we see on our horizon is a 3 to 5 year future where the long tail, the smaller companies that a customer has that it doesn't have enough people to properly serve, that they don't have a CSM for, can do a lot of what a CS function does today. I think in the immediate term, it's almost analogous to a CSM having an executive assistant to do some of the meeting note prep, to do some of the scheduling, to do some of the task-oriented work. A lot of what AI is doing in other areas for a CSM to make them a better CSM for their largest customers. And then for the customers they just haven't historically had time to serve or been able to serve because of the cost, they're able to serve with more agentic-like capabilities. That's the future that we're building around, an AI CSM. So
Questions keep coming. One of
yeah,
them is there a way to use AI to align sales and marketing and CRM?
that's a good question. I think if you're not already, but using some of the capabilities and tools like Six Sense and Zoom Info, both customers of Gainsight and applications that we use to align around the account plan. This is the account plan. This is the buying unit and the personas that I need to reach, and how those tools can help you, get the information you need, validate the data that you need, enrich the data that you have, not just at a point in time, but that's a very fluid thing over time, as you know. Like all of a sudden, Julia has a initiative to go do an RFP for a customer success platform. You need that signal in the account teams and with marketing to sort of put you at the top of the list where you're going to surge paid advertising, for example, or where you're going to produce a more personalized experience through your ABM programs. So those are a couple of areas where we're seeing them come together in sales and marketing alignment.
I'm curious to learn more about your general take on marketing in the age of AI. What tools do you use for Gainsight, inside Gainsight? What's your thinking? How do you use
Yeah.
AI for strategy?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of other industries, it's interesting because we weren't the first adopters at Gainsight of ABM, and a lot of companies that were made great progress. I did work on ABM at other companies, but they invested in a lot of tech to get there, and now they have a lot of tech debt because of that. And part of what AI is doing is it's giving you a shortcut to going ahead with AI instead of investing in some of the legacy AI ABM tools that took a long time to implement, that took customization, and that are now pretty out of the box. And what used to need a team of people to become admins of and become experts of, you need one person now. So we see agentification coming in both inbound and outbound. inbound, improving conversion right from the website, and outbound, not trying to be inauthentic about responding to someone with an agent, but keeping that personal outbound for our strategic accounts and for some of our larger customers where you need a more multi-threaded approach potentially. So a lot of what we do, we get a lot of volume, a lot of inbound volume being the market leader. And we have to just make sure we sift through that. And historically, that would be sophisticated lead scoring, and we have some of that. But more and more, it's agents that are trained and programmed and optimized around getting people the information they want and separating from us the customers that we want to get back to and work with versus the ones that just aren't a candidate for what we sell.
Are you allowed to share what's in your tech stack?
I hesitate to share because it's changing. I'm 90 days in. I'm one password change in as the CMO here. But there are some great tools out there. And I just would hate to talk about that before it changes, Julia. So that was a good question. You got me with that one.
No worries at all. I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay.
A lot of questions here are speaking to Gainsight's roadmap.
Yeah.
What are you allowed to share, and what should we expect? We have another AI summit coming up in May, so maybe there is some announcement.
Well, that would be a great. Our user conference is Pulse. It's May 28th. If you can't get to Vegas and attend Pulse, you can still consume what's happening at Pulse. Like many software companies and tech companies, we want to make that the big bang for where we're going to announce certain key capabilities. So that is a teaser, as they say, Julia, for, if you're not coming to Pulse, tune in and check out what's happening at Pulse, and you'll see some cool. And look, spoiler alert, of course, you're going to see agentic capabilities, AI capabilities coming. You asked the question earlier. You'll just get a little more detail around what the roadmap is. And then we're going to give you a taste. We're going to demo some stuff. We're going to show you some product, which we are super excited about. So, and that's not giving you a straight answer, but it's giving you kind of what's coming.
Exactly what we need. Keith, we have 3 minutes here, and I want to make sure to address some questions that our folks are asking. And one of them is, do you honestly believe sellers, marketers, and account managers will disappear?
No. I think whenever there's a need for a relationship, a human's, I believe, going to be better at that. And other humans are going to expect that. And so as long as people need to talk to people and do what we're doing now, there is a need for marketers, there's a need for sellers. And as long as there's a relationship between a company and its customer, a human being is core to that. That is being supplemented now in really cool ways with AI. That make that a better experience for both the company and the customer. And we're embracing that with arms wide open. And look, I would, it's controversial. There's resistance to this. But I think this is where our humanity can come out at its greatest, in its greatest form. So that's what we're excited about.
This is amazing. Keith, if someone wants to put these strategies into action, where's the best place to start?
I think it starts with engaging with your partners. I don't want to give a sales pitch for Gainsight, but it's getting into community, and it's asking the questions of other folks that have encountered these challenges. And obviously, we are here to help. That's our job. So they can engage with me. They can send me a LinkedIn. They can ask Gainsight. Go to gainsight.com. And we'll get you with the peers and get you the information you need.